immediate, immediately some work and some clients as a lawyer. So he taught Latin for a while. I helped translating books into Spanish, sometimes 20 pages a day, but the reward was not very good. Everybody had to find a way to make a living and to go on studying. I finished high school studies in Mexico, then started studying law in the morning and philosophy and literature in the afternoon. It was a busy life because I also had part-time jobs. I became for a while a radio announcer. I wrote scripts for television. I tried to find again something in my life that could be significant to myself and to other people. I thought writing poetry was something I wanted to do, and I've been doing it all my life. I also thought that interpreting, translating was a way of building bridges between one culture and another. That in itself was valuable for myself and for others. I have translated books, I've written books, I have interpreted for the United Nations. This was a very exciting moment in my life. I was finishing my studies in Mexico. I was traveling for the United Nations, and during a long meeting, international meeting in Mexico City, I was lucky enough to meet my wife. The meeting was a failure, but not for me. This meant that I again felt that the future was opening up. We lived in Paris for a year while I was studying at the Sorbonne, but more looking around and absorbing the life in Paris than the life of books. Then Princeton University, where I finished my PhD, and I started to teach. First at Smith College, and finally for many years at Yale University. I remember an etching by Goya, where he is an old man looking like Father Time. And underneath he writes, "I'm still learning." Well, I'm 79 years old and I'm still learning. And I will learn all my life. I think the meaning of my life is to learn and to try to make sense of what I've learned. I suppose this is also the meaning of many other people's lives. If we were more inclined to use our observation and our imagination, maybe this would bring us closer together and give us the feeling that no matter how different we are, we all suffer and hope for the same reasons. We're still here, we're still learning, we're still hoping.
What can you tell us about your grandparents?
I remember both sets of grandparents, the ones in the village, Balaguer, and the ones in the city, Barcelona. The traditional grandparents were in the village. They were very honest, serious people. They had a great respect for each other. My grandfather on my mother's side was the one who lived in Balaguer with his wife. And I still remember him. He looked like a Roman statue. He was tall and had very very strong facial features. He always told me the best thing is to keep busy, exercise and learn every day, and try to love others a little bit. You have to love yourself if you want to be able to love others. And later on, I read somewhere, if I'm not my friend, who will be? But if I am my only friend, who am I? In other words, I like to look at myself in the mirror every morning, and some days I say, things are not so bad. I'm okay. Other days, if I don't like myself, probably I'll cut myself while I shave. But in any case, I'll be in a bad mood all day long. People have to come to terms with themselves, accept that we're all fallible, we all make mistakes, and we still are worthy of, well, somehow, we are the ones who have to live with ourselves. I am with myself 24 hours every day. Even when I dream, very often I dream about myself. And at the same time, I need other people. People who need people are the happiest people. So I need other people. And this is also part of growing up. Learning that selfishness doesn't pay is a lesson that took me years and years to learn. I'm not sure I learned it completely, but I'm still trying.
And the grandmother in Balaguer, what was she like?
She was a very dignified woman who said, when my husband speaks, I wait a while and then I speak in turn. Because in my heart, I still feel that the husband should have some precedence and some authority. When I disagree with him, then we have a fight. And this happens. It happened maybe only once in their life. But this was a big fight. My grandfather in Balaguer was a free thinker. And he bought all sorts of books of all kinds. He had a small library, but a very good one. One day he decided he wanted to buy the complete works of the French philosopher Voltaire. And so he paid a certain sum and kept paying, but the books never arrived. Of course they did arrive, but my grandmother had confessed to the priest that Voltaire was coming to the house, and the priest said, cannot let this happen. You've got to burn these books, they are unholy. So she was burning every book that was coming to the house, and my grandfather was complaining to the publisher, where are my collected works by Voltaire? Finally he found the truth and there was a big fight. My grandparents on my father's side, I know better because I lived with them for many years. My grandfather was a great fisherman and huntsman. He was also a druggist, a pharmacist. And he had his own pharmacy. I still remember it. It was almost like a work of art. There were porcelain jars with Latin names where all sorts of potions were kept. He was quite jolly and very pleasant, but he was also very shy. Sometimes when he had to speak to people he didn't know well, he simply had a few words and then he kept quiet. He was also a free thinker, and he had become a Mason. a Freemason, which in Spain was something extremely dangerous and radical on, let's say, on the left. But he quit after a month because he found out that most Freemasons were hypocrites and